Hey guys, welcome to another talk. The title of this class, But If Not. We finished talking about the 10 perfections, and now we're on to the 5 spiritual faculties as taught by the Buddha. Okay, 5 spiritual faculties. This is the first faculty, which we're talking about today, called faith. The faith that moves mountains. Okay, all right. In 1939, long ago, in 1939, shortly after Germany invaded Poland and sparked the Second World War, England started sending troops across the English Channel into France to aid the French against the imminent battle against the invading forces. Yep, 1939. A year later, in May 1940, 300,000 British troops were stationed in and around Dunkirk, a port town just north of France, very close in northern France, close to the Belgian border. In that very same month, the Germans invaded Belgium and Holland and marched into France. It was just a matter of time now before the Germans slaughtered the Allied forces. Just a matter of time. Germany was rising. The situation was utterly hopeless. And that's when an English officer, British officer, telegraphed a message to London. Just 3 words, code words. But if not, do you have any idea what those words meant? But if not? Those people, those of you who are familiar with the Bible, will identify those words. They come from the Old Testament, Daniel 3:18. Just a brief on what these words were about. The Babylonian king, Brother Nebuchadnezzar, had built this golden statue of one of his gods that he worshipped. And he wanted everyone to worship that god and other gods. But the Jews were reluctant to follow his dictates. So he had 3 God-loving Jews dragged into his court. And he glared at them and said, "If you 3 idiots," this is Masterpiece translation, "if you 3 idiots do not worship my God, I'm going to have you thrown into a blazing furnace. I'm giving you 3 days to consider. If you don't, your end will be near." Now, those 3 Jews did not require 3 days to make up their mind. So they said to the king, "Oh, pompous papaya, regardless of what you do, we're not worshiping your God." Yeah? Because the God we serve, the God we love, has the power to deliver us, not just from the blazing furnace, but also from your ugly clutches. But if not, But if not, we will still not worship your God or any God other than the one we do. Now, the king saw this as incredible insolence, highly insolent behavior. And so it enraged him. And he said to his cronies, you guys, make sure that that furnace we're going to chuck these guys in is 7 times hotter than it usually is. Put some more logs in there. We're going to burn these guys to a crisp. So they put the logs in the furnace. Heavy duty. And then he got these really hefty guys to bundle up these fellows and throw them in the furnace. And they chucked them in. And the guys who chucked those 3 Jews into the furnace, because of the blast was so powerful, all of them popped off. Those burly fellows. And then the king watched from a distance. So what's going to go on? And he saw these 3 guys doing the Macarena inside the blazing furnace. Can you imagine? Hot stuff. So he called them out. When they came out, their hair was not singed, their skin was not burnt, there was no smell of any fire or smoke. They were totally unharmed. So the king thought, whoa, if your God can do that, I'm not messing with him. You guys can continue worshiping your God. Okay, I'll worship my fellow here. That's what the story is about. Master B's translation. Okay. But if not. So the message that reached England in May 1940, here's the translation of but if not. What it said was, our situation here in Dunkirk is extremely bleak. We are surrounded, and it will take nothing less than a miracle to save our ass. But we are determined. We're not giving up. We're going to engage the forces. Regardless of the odds, we're not giving up. All that was contained in just 3 words. But if not. This was basically a non-negotiable commitment to believing in their power to engage the odds, regardless of what happened. They were willing to welcome whatever fate the good Lord had in store for them. Unnegotiable commitment. In modern words, but if not, would translate as over my dead body. A few days later, after the message was received in London, a few days later, the British evacuated 338,000 French and British troops in a chaotic rescue operation that consisted of 800 destroyers, merchant navy, fishing boats, merchant craft, even Thames ferries. All the vessels that could float went to Dunkirk to save those guys. Even today, people talk about the miracle of Dunkirk. Yeah? Whoa. Miracle how those guys were saved. We need this kind of faith in a world that's constantly changing, full of difficulties and illusions. We need that kind of faith in our power and in the transcendental forces we can harness to extricate ourselves from any difficulty that comes our way. We have that power. Okay, let's see how to tap into it. but not. One of the greatest mountains we need to move, which creates massive difficulties for us. One of the greatest mountains we need to remove because it is causing massive suffering is this. We do not think, feel, speak, or act in accordance with what we can do. So then fill in the blanks. We do not think, feel, speak, or act in accordance with what we can do. So what is it? What's really going on? We think, feel, speak, and act in accordance with what we believe we can. Not what we can do, but what we believe we can accomplish. So it stands to reason that when we change our beliefs for the better, our reality changes accordingly. That's the law. When we change our beliefs for the better, our reality changes accordingly. And this is because our world, whatever we experience, our world consists in every detail upon our consciousness, which is objectified. Our world in every detail is our consciousness objectified. It's a reflection of how we think, how we behave, how we speak, how we feel, what we believe in. We basically are shaping our reality for better or for worse. Clear? The universe, please understand, the universe does not set any limits on our aspirations, none. The universe does not set any limits on our aspirations. We do. And how do we set the limits? We set the limits by not riveting our attention on what really matters. It is only when we awaken to the imperative need for personal refinement, only then can we discover the truth about ourselves and the world we live in. When we discover the truth about ourselves, what we are in essence, and the world we live in, that's when magic happens. That's when miracles take place. It's because Jesus, for instance, discovered the truth about himself that he was able to craft those miracles. Yep, we too can do it. Remember what he said in the Bible. What I have done, you too can do it. But you have to go through a process of discovery to do so, not otherwise. Once again, the universe does not set any limits to our aspirations. We do. We do because we are not paying attention to what really matters. Not paying attention to what really matters, we never get in touch with the incredible power we are endowed with for experiencing life at its best. Clear? Okay. Now here's something. Yes. What is this? Oh, it's a crystal apple. Yes, lovely apple. But guys, listen. Open your ears and your eyes and your mind. This is not just a crystal apple. I got this from a Tibetan monk years ago. It has magical properties. It can heal any physical ailment. Yeah, this apple. And I'm willing to sell it to you for only 10,000 euros. Christmas is coming up. It's a deal. Whoever sends me the money the quickest, you can have this incredible crystal that can heal any physical ailment. What do you think? Now, after this spiel, how would you respond? How do you respond to what I've just said? Would you think, oh, wow, crystal apple, Master B, send me your details. I'll send you the money right now. Would you do that? Or would you say, Master B, have you been smoking weed again? What kind of nonsense have you been talking? Which response would you subscribe to? Well, both the responses are intellectually lazy responses. Why? Let's take a look. The best defense against sloppy thinking and equally sloppy behavior is to question things we are not familiar with, things we are unsure of, not just swallow, not just say yes or not just say no. Yeah? No, yes and no. Best to question things we are not familiar with, things we are not unsure, which we are unsure about. We need to do a fact check. Yeah. Because only then can we know true from false. Do your research. Don't just believe things blindly. So it's always best for us to question things, question reality, question our experiences, question our thoughts. But when valid information is presented to us, through our questioning, through our research, when valid information is presented to us, it's best to let go of what we have believed in exchange of what is true, when valid information has been presented. Before that, question, doubt, check. Because we live in a world of massive illusions. Oof, Lord have mercy. Lots of illusions. And the best form of inquiry is through delving deep into the subject that we're not sure about, that looks suspect. This apple looks a little suspect to me. All right. Only then, through proper research, can we place our faith in what calms our spirit and not in what inflames our passion and leads us straight into the ditch. No, not good. This pretty sad story, pretty revealing story of a woman by the name of Edmondson, who some years ago joined an institution that was supposedly recruiting women to empower them for living well in the world. But as it turned out, she had joined a cult that was into human trafficking. Ugh. And she had been in that institution for quite a number of years. But when her eyes opened to what was going on, she blew the whistle and had those guys sent to where they belonged, behind the bars. I have their videos on my website. It's a documentary, two-part documentary called The Vow. Take a look. Take a look at what happens when we don't really question things deeply enough, when we see things just on the surface. How easy it is to get duped by a world that is dedicated to duping us. Yeah. When I was in the US, in CalArts, in college, there were quite a number of veterans from the Vietnam War. And I had made friends with quite a number of those fellows. And each and every one told me how disheartened they were when they found out that they had been fighting a war under the wrong impression. The government had told them, we're fighting this war because of this reason, when really it was that reason. So many people, so many of those veterans killed themselves because of the deep angst they experienced from being duped by their government. Yeah, it's happening all over the place. Pharma is duping us. Advertising is duping us to buy things we don't need. Everywhere people are profiting from our ignorance. We need to wake up. We need to wake up. Yeah? All right. This world, please understand, this world is a nuanced reality. Do you know what that means? Nuanced. It means it is not just black and white, nor is it shades of gray. It is technicolor. Brilliant. It's a nuanced reality. Anything can be perceived from multiple angles. Anything. And that is why it is imperative for us to be extremely wary of our opinions. Why do we need to be so conscious of our opinions? What is an opinion? An opinion is a view or an assumption we hold on to in regard to ourselves or the world we live in. And this view and this assumption is often, very often, misguided. In the absence of spiritual clarity, it is misguided. Yeah? It's a misrepresentation of reality. And it is this misrepresentation of reality that creates our misery lifetime after lifetime. We are believing in the wrong things. And it is time we woke up to see if we need to change our beliefs. An opinion. Every story, please understand, every story has three sides to it. Your side, my side, and what's it? The truth. Every story has three sides to it. Your side, my side, and the truth. And we, for lifetimes, have perfected the art of storytelling. It's called narratives. The narratives we feast on. Opinions. The thing about these narratives, these stories that we concoct in our consciousness, is that we have perfected the art of distortion, denial, embellishing the stories, embellishing our perceptions of reality. Yeah? And we don't even see, because we've done it so often, it's like on autopilot, we don't see the incredible flaw in our tangled beliefs. And because we don't see the flaw in our tangled opinions and beliefs, there is no fact checking. No fact checking. No research. The way I see things is the way it is. Why don't we fact check? Because we are so convinced in the rightness of our opinions, beliefs. We have placed our faith in all the wrong things, and we believe that's the only way to look at it. That's what creates conflict around the world. Every story, every perception has three sides to it. Your side, my side, and the truth. And we are not seeing the truth. My side, your side, my side, your side. But what's the truth? Unless we see just how often our opinions, our misguided opinions, have led us straight into the ditch, unless we remember, have a visceral remembrance of just how often our misguided opinions have led us straight into the ditch, straight into incredible conflicts with the world around us, we have no incentive, we feel no incentive to do something about it. No fact checking, no fact checking, only conflicts upon conflicts. But our misguided opinions have caused us incredible distress, incredible. Not just us, we're transferring this distress upon the world around us. Tragic. During a counseling session on a 10-day retreat here in India, long ago, one fellow during the session confided the following to me. He said, "Must be, I'm having this problem." And he narrated the problem. I listened. And then he said, "So, what do you think must be? How do I solve this issue?" And I just looked at him and said, "My friend, I've heard what you've said, but what are you doing about it?" That's when he sat up. When he heard those words, "What are you doing about it?" Sat up and realized that he had been attempting to solve the problem in his head. He was not taking any action. He had basically fallen victim to the timeless paralysis by analysis syndrome. Just trying to figure things out instead of getting in the playing field, making his mistakes, and learning from them. All in his head. In a world in which procrastination and inaction are the norm, a bias towards action, skilled action, always pays the best dividends. We have to get out in the playing field. We have to be willing to make the mistakes, to get hurt, to hurt other people, learn from the errors, and correct ourselves. We cannot figure things out in our head. Here was this guy for years trying to figure things out in his head, not living his life, just hoping to live. Terrible folly. Can anything, please tell me, can anything of true value be crafted without deep study and deep planning and deep implementation? Can it? Just deep study is enough to create things? No. Is planning required? Of course. Do you know any building, really good building that has stood its ground in every storm? Was it constructed on the basis of a plan, a meticulous plan, and then implemented? Of course. Was your car designed without a plan? Was your mobile designed without a plan or study or implementation? No, we need all three. Deep study, deep planning, deep implementation. We need to apply the teachings for the teachings to work for us. We cannot just have the teachings in our head. Useless. Right? Okay. Now, many of us know the value of proper nutrition. Gobble, gobble. No junk food. We know the value of proper exercise. Not 5 minutes walking around from the kitchen to the living room. We know the importance of sound sleep. At the right time. Sleeping at the right time, waking at the right time. Not too much, not too little. We know all this, yeah? To stay healthy and happy, we know these principles. But how many people are really clued into the fact that the nutrition for our consciousness is even more important? Yeah? The content diet for the mind is even more important. How many people understand that? That what we put into our consciousness, what we allow into our consciousness, has an enormous influence in shaping our life and destiny. Yep. What we choose to believe in. Yeah, has an enormous influence. If every single day we are feasting on garbage, yeah, if the quality of the information we are feasting on daily is low quality, it will, by default, lead to a low quality life and low quality experiences by default. The greater the amount of trash we consume daily, the worse our life becomes. Why? Because of the timeless principle that is the inputs that drive the outcomes. It's a rule, it's a law of life. The inputs drive the outcome. Garbage in, garbage out. Simple rule of life. We need to be conscious of what we are allowing into our consciousness daily. The more trash we consume, the worse our life becomes. Physically, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, forget about that. Social conflicts, terrible stuff. And therefore, what is required is a content audit. We need to audit ourselves as often as possible at the end of the day through quiet and deep reflection as to just how much quality information has gone inside and how much garbage. If we're really going to change our life for the better, this content audit is imperative. That's why we need to sit for meditation to check how we're living our lives. Right, next point. So what if instead of the garbage we feast on, watching TV, social media, distractions, shopping sprees, Lord have mercy. What if instead of all that garbage, we were to feed our mind with inspirational thoughts, thoughts which we derive from good literature, good studies of the Dhamma, for instance, watching good inspirational videos, having inspirational conversations with good friends, going on retreats, workshops, talks, joining online classes. What would happen then if we were to feed our mind with wholesome information daily? What would happen? Guess. What would happen is that we would be inspired, deeply inspired, to seek out empowering ways in which to experience ourselves and the world we live in. That's what would happen. You would not live in squirrel mode. You would be enthusiastic about finding different ways in which to experience our greatness, to experience life's magnificence. That's what happened. Yeah, to discover our strengths, like I did, jumping out of airplanes, being in caves, living in the jungles, living in haunted houses, doing other crazy things. I was impelled to discover my strengths. And I found my strengths. I found the world and its incredible benevolence to look after me. That's what happens. When we feed our mind with the right information, we are impelled to discover just how profound we are. But if we don't, we stay in our complacent zones. Not the way to live. That's not the way to live. It's impossible for us to experience a vibrant and enriching life without disinformation. Impossible. Quality in, quality out. Put in some quality information and you will start to live differently in a much more fulfilling, much more vibrant, much more joyous manner when we start to believe in the right things, our magnificence, and the magnificence of the world around us. The greater our enthusiasm for gathering this information and implementing it, not just gathering, implementing it, the greater our lives become. It's a law. It's a law by default. There are two types of people running around on the planet, scampering around. The first type are experiencing a fantastic life and destiny. Brilliant. The second type downpour of suffering, misery. Life is difficult. No brilliant destiny. Landslides of sorrow. Yes. What determines this reality? That here's one group who are experiencing life at its best. And here's the other group living in the same world, but they're experiencing an incredible, traumatic destiny, life, misery. What separates the two? Well, these guys are into lifelong learning. They're enthusiastic about learning and discovering what is finest in them. Yeah, they don't stop learning till the end of their days. They're into learning about themselves and the world they live in. These guys, Netflix, shopping sprees, family, wealth, pleasures. That's their focus. Family is important. Wealth is important. Pleasures are good. But without the clarity to interact with the family members correctly, we fashion a dysfunctional family. Without the clarity to handle wealth correctly, it leads to arrogance, complacency, fear, and so on. Without the clarity, nothing works. Family is important, but clarity is far more important. Primary importance. So those guys for whom spiritual clarity is not on their radar, these are the guys who engage in a groan fest daily, groan festival, complaining and whining and criticizing and judging and resenting daily. Why? Because they have no deeper interests in life. No deeper interests in life. They suffer. They have placed their faith in the wrong things. Huge error. So without knowing, without the clarity actually, without the right clarity, it's impossible for us to know what will truly satisfy us. And if we don't know what will truly satisfy us, how is it possible for us to direct our life towards a higher form of living? How is it possible? No can do. Without the clarity to know what will truly satisfy us, how is it ever possible for us to direct our life towards a higher form of living? No can. So we all need, yes, we all need, I needed it also. Yes, I needed it also when I was 24. We all need an escalating fire. We all need to be baptized by an escalating fire under our ass to propel us towards discovering what will truly satisfy us. Because if we don't discover what will truly satisfy us, what will bring us that peace and joy and deep fulfillment, we will continue to scamper after happiness, joy, and fulfillment where it cannot be found. It is not in the family. It is not in the wealth. It is not in the pleasures. It is in how we relate to the family. It's in how we relate to the wealth. It is in how we relate to the pleasures. That's where the happiness is. Are you understanding, please? Family, wealth, pleasures, all this are good. But without the clarity, it becomes an intolerable burden. Wake up. Yep, right. Let's get on to the next point. Good judgment comes from experience. Yep, clear. Good judgment comes from experience. Where does good experience come from? Louder, please, louder. Where does good experience come from? It comes from bad experience. Yeah, it comes from being in the playing field, making the mistakes that are necessary to be made for us to learn and grow from our experience. Yeah. Good judgment comes from experience. Where does good experience come from? Not just thinking, from doing, from a bad experience. Yeah, we learn through trial and error, not through trial and rightness. Trial and error. We have to go through the error, the process of learning. Now, bad experience can be deadly at times. Yeah, it can be deadly because it makes us ignore life-saving truths that should have been noted and attended to way upstream. Not now, way upstream. Yeah, once again, bad experience or bad judgment can be deadly at times because it makes us ignore life-saving truths that should have been noted and attended to. No procrastination. Way upstream. Here's a little story. Remember, I've said it in several classes that I have parachuted out of airplanes. different crafts. Yeah, large planes, small planes. The small plane was a little more scary because you have to climb out on the wing. Right. My first jump, 2,500 feet above Mother Earth, wind blowing in the mouth and the face. You're sitting on the door. They equip us with a walkie-talkie. It's attached to the parachute. And the chute is attached to the plane. It's called a static line. As soon as you jump out, people faint. You're gone. So scary. Jump out of the plane. So it just opens. And when it opens, whoo, pulls you up and you realize, oh, you're still alive. There's a plane going and other people jumping out. And there, my first jump, scared out of my wits. But I dived in there into the fray. The parachute opened. It was in the mountains, 100 miles away from college. I had driven over there, in a place called Lake Elsinore. The peace, the space all around. What an incredible feeling. Worth the fear and the terror I had been through just seconds before. Yeah. Beautiful experience. Quiet. Stillness. Brilliant. Now, we had been told before you jump, you're taught how to get down on the ground without breaking your legs or anything else. We were told that we would be descending 1,000 feet per minute. Yeah? 2,500 feet. That means 2.5 minutes before we touch ground. We were told not to look down when you're landing. Don't look down. Look straight up and feel the ground with your feet. And that's when you roll. Yeah, you have to roll. They teach you all that. No looking down, because if you look down, you can misjudge when you're going to land, and you'll break your legs and damage your spine. Crazy things happen. And they also told us, listen to the walkie-talkie, because there's a guy on the ground guiding you down. Yeah, you don't know what you're doing. Listen to what the guy is telling you. And on the parachute, we have toggles. Left one, right one, to guide it down. Okay? Turn left, turn right, whatever. My walkie-talkie was not working very well. So my bad judgment was to switch it off, because I knew best. I didn't want my peace disturbed with no, who wants all that? I want to enjoy the peace and tranquility. First jump, bad judgment, switching off the walkie-talkie. Bad judgment. So I was just enjoying the turning to the left, turning to the right, not realizing that I'm descending 1,000 feet per minute. 2.5 minutes goes pretty fast. And then when I looked down as I was approaching the ground, I looked down and I saw that I was heading straight for a barbed wire fence, and I was about to lose my acorns. Whoa! Terrifying. Yeah. I was so mesmerized with the scenery and everything. I didn't realize I had gone off the landing zone. I was heading straight for a barbed wire fence, and how could I be talking like this if my acorns had gone? just at the last minute, missed it and fell. Well, fell properly, but just missed that barbed wire fence. The guy who was bringing us down came running after me. I was in the bush. Hey, are you okay? Are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. It was pretty scary experience. Bad judgment. Yeah. We, opinions, misrepresentation of reality. The other jumps, I kept that on. The other 5 jumps. That's another story. Even worse than the fiascos we create for ourselves. Bad judgment has the tendency to derail us from ever knowing the astronomical power we're all endowed with. Yeah? It has the power. Bad judgment has the frequency to derail us from ever knowing the astronomical power we're all endowed with for moving mountains of difficulties out of our lives. We have that power. And it also derails us from knowing, from unveiling life's profound dimensions. Bad judgment. With bad judgment, there can be no insight into the true nature of reality, its profound dimensions, its miracles and mysteries. Can't see it. Okay, that's the nature of bad judgment. Well, we got to go through our mistakes. I almost lost my acorns. All right. Now, since there are many delicate situations in life in which good judgment is imperative, many delicate situations in life in which good judgment is imperative, often the best and safest experience to learn from is someone else's. You got that? Since there are many delicate, illusory situations in which good judgment is absolutely necessary, the best and safest experience to learn from is someone else's. We need to see how this person has prospered and model that frequency. We need to see why this person suffers and stop doing what this person is doing that has created his or her fiasco. We need to learn from other people's mistakes. We don't have to go through the same mistakes. When I was in Los Angeles in college, the deans, the hotshots of the 5 faculties that CalArts represented, film and video, art and design, I was in design, dance, theater, music. The deans of all 5 faculties were international figureheads. They had reached highly talented, most of them good looking, good families, money everywhere, money. International figureheads, name, fame, talents, everything they had. But when I looked at them, got to know them, not one of them was a stable individual. Not one. All that talent, the looks, the money, the name, the fame. They had alcohol problems, drug problems, ego problems, not happy people. So I asked myself, Behram, these guys have reached the pinnacle of worldly success and they're still unhappy. What's missing in their life? Guess what it was? Not money, not name, not fame, not looks, family, vacations, everything. What was missing in their life was spiritual clarity. Spiritual clarity. Insecure, even in the best of times. This is what made me change direction. If they're not able to do it, how will I do it? On what ground will I do it? On what basis will I be happy? Change direction. Good judgment. The judgment I made at 24 to change direction to what I'm doing now, there has been no regret. None. Deep fulfillment, deep joy. I've discovered my strengths. I'm not insecure. Are you understanding, please? There are many nuanced situations, delicate situations in which clear choices are not easy to make. Best to learn from other people's experiences, positive as well as negative. You see, the thing is, we see the world not as it is, but as we believe it to be. We see the world not as it is, but as we believe it to be. In relation to the quality of information that is percolating in our consciousness. Low quality information, low quality beliefs. High quality information, high quality beliefs. So seeing that, most of what we believe is a little bit wonky, embellished truths. Yeah? For us to experience what is finest in us, for us to grow into our best, it is imperative, necessary, vital for us to confront head on everything we have believed over our lifetime that has not really served us. The fears, the doubts, the insecurities, the obsessions, the addictions. What's causing them? We need to head on confront these beliefs that are causing us stress. Without that, nothing's happening. Stay locked in deluded mode. We have to confront these beliefs. Just think of the countless number of people who have relied on their misguided opinion in relation to the selection of their marital partner and the fiasco they inflicted upon themselves. Then there are those who believed in their misguided opinion about their career, their choice of career. Again, only to discover that that was not the right choice. Same with the friendships that we rely on. Are these friends really bringing out our best or keeping us in victim mode and in our groan festivals, complaining and criticizing and so forth? Is our lifestyle serving us, or is it really diminishing us? Question things. Each time we face a challenge, why are we afraid? Why do we run from challenges? What is the opinion in relation to these challenges that's making us respond to life in a way that is not worthy of us? Question things. Place your faith in the things. If you place your faith in the wrong things, you will, by default, suffer your entire life. So we need to fling ourselves, leap out of our easy chair or our complacent zones and straight into the fray, straight into life's playing field to discover the truth about ourselves and the world we live in. If we do not discover the truth about ourselves and the world we live in, we remain restless and dissatisfied our entire life. And we take that imprint with us into the next rebirth, and it's the same fiascos in the next rebirth. It can be avoided. So the last thing we wish to accomplish is to be a cowboy or a cowgirl with a hat, but no cattle. Just a hat, no cattle. Yeah, empty victories. No substance to our life. So we need to step out of fantasy land and touch base with reality. If we are to truly live, we have no other choice. We have to step out of fantasy land and touch base with reality through personal refinement. In the absence of personal refinement, there is no touching base with reality. No, only delusions. To truly live, we have no other choice. Please understand that we are born into this luminous, radiant world, not as a finality, but as a possibility. And our task as a human being that's gifted with this incredible mind, our task is to realize this possibility, this majesty, this vastness that exists within us. Our task is to awaken to this grandeur that is within us. For only then can we really experience life at its best. The tragedy is that there are so many millions of brilliant, fully capable people running around who speak themselves out of exploring this possibility, this vastness to their existence. The narratives denying, distorting, embellishing in the wrong way Oh, no, 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 no. Brilliant people, fully capable, continue to talk themselves out of exploring the vast possibilities they're endowed with, not realizing that life does not reward inaction, it rewards action. It does not reward passive intelligence or untested faith. I tested my faith in so many ways. I've tested my faith and I've come out on top. It's not easy living in a cave, trust me, especially with no help anywhere in sight and with wild creatures running around. It's not easy living in haunted houses. The fear I experienced, woo! Anyway, that's another story. Stay tuned for the horror stories. Once again, although we are endowed with this astronomical power to move mountains of difficulties out of our life, we have the power. We talk ourselves out of exploring it. But life does not reward inaction. It rewards action, not passive intelligence or untested faith. We have to test the faith in God, in ourselves, in the world. It has to be tested. We have to feel it tangible. So being smart, being endowed with all these powers is of really no use without the courage to act boldly and insightfully to discover what can yet be possible for us. No use having this power if you're not willing to act, to just really discover it, to bring it out, to unleash it. How can we ever really craft a sensational life if we're not willing to step out into the playing field? If we don't even enter the game, how do we ever discover our magnificence? Cannot. It cannot be discovered in a safe and predictable environment. Understand that? You have to get out there and test your strengths. Then you understand just how powerful you are. That's when you harness transcendental forces to walk by your side. Not otherwise. Not otherwise. There's an unfailing rule. There's an unfailing rule in poker, playing the cards, that is as applicable to our life as it is in any game, not just poker. Unfailing rule in poker that is applicable in all areas of our life. You know what that rule is? Scared money never wins. Scared money never wins. If you're playing with fear of losing, if that's your focus, never going to win. Yeah, scared money never wins. Here's another story. On a different retreat, 10 days, possibly 20 days, I forget how long. Residential retreat. Another fellow, in a one-on-one counseling session, narrated this story. He said, Master B, it seemed like there were endless obstacles. It seemed like there were endless obstacles preventing me from living with my eyes open. But then, once I really started following up on clue after clue as to why I was attracting all these difficulties into my life, I came to this incredible realization, Master B. I came to the realization that the root cause of all my procrastination and all the distress I was going through, the root cause stemmed from fear. What a revelation! What a revelation! Seemed like, good words he used, there were no obstacles. The obstacles were in his head. Seemed like. It seemed like there were so many endless obstacles preventing me from living with my eyes open. So, my virtual friends, please tell me, what was his fear about? What was he afraid of? Not being ready enough, not being intelligent enough, not being good enough, not being capable enough, and so on. Yeah? Ready enough, good enough, intelligent enough, capable enough, you name it. He had plenty of fears. Now, where did those fears come from? Those debilitating thoughts and feelings, where did those fears and feelings and thoughts come from? These strange realities were born and bred in an uneducated mind. Wishy-washy practice, not making spiritual education and practice top priority. That's where it came from. This fellow, he had not just attended one retreat with me. He had been with many teachers, many retreats, workshops, talks. He used to listen to podcasts, lots of stuff, but all just in his head. No implementation, no getting into the playing field. You don't get into the playing field, those fears will get the best of you. We have to get into the playing field, face the fear, and discover the power. No facing fear, no power. Okay. Yeah? There's a rule in life which says that one of the greatest obstacles to any discovery about ourselves, about the world we live in, any discovery, one of the greatest obstacles to any discovery is not just ignorance and fear. What is it? It's the illusion of knowledge. The illusion of knowledge, to believe in the rightness of our misguided opinions. This guy, Brother Rolf, was convinced that he was incapable, convinced that he was not intelligent enough, not ready enough, not good enough. He knew for a fact that he was a weirdo. But was that true? Of course not. He had talent. He was brilliant. He was just not applying it correctly. One of the greatest obstacles to any discovery is not just ignorance or fear, it's the illusion of knowledge. to believe that we're already wise, to believe that we already know when we don't really know. Because real knowing releases us from fear, releases us from doubts and insecurities. Real knowing, when we don't know, that's when fear and all those nasty little frequencies have a hold on us. Clarity. Clarity is vital in any area of our life, any area. To build a home, you need clarity. To build a car, you need clarity. To govern people well, we need clarity. Clarity is required in every area of life for it to function well. So, what is the clarity that promotes our well-being the most? Which clarity do we need? How to play tennis better? How to be a great pianist? Which clarity do we need for flourishing in this world instead of suffering? For moving mountains of difficulties out of our way instead of sparking landslides upon ourselves? Spiritual clarity. Nothing less spiritual clarity. Why? Because in the absence of spiritual clarity, we remain hostage to our delusions. Hostage. And when we are hostage to our delusions, it means we are hostage to our misguided opinions. And misguided opinions equate with disaster. Yes. Conflict with the world. Conflict with ourselves. Conflict with everything under the sun. We're coming to an end. Stay tuned. For spiritual clarity to take root in us, for spiritual clarity to take root in us, our behavior needs to change for the better. For our behavior to change for the better, our identity needs to change. And what's the best way to do that? How do we change our identity? Which identity? Once again, remember, reality is very nuanced. Subtle grades of color and hue. In every rebirth, we're not just playing one role, we're playing many. We are the child of our parents. That's our identity. I'm this one's child. We are the parent of our children. I am a parent. I am a spouse. I am a doctor. I'm a musician. Yeah, I'm a friend. I'm a serial killer. Okay, different identities. Now, these roles, these identities, as you will notice, they arise only in a specific social context. It means in specific relationships. Yeah? You talk differently with your parents than you do with your boss or your spouse or your kids or your friends. The way you speak with your boss is different from the way you speak with your friends. Yeah? Our identity changes in different social contexts. Clear? Right. Now, the social contexts in which we generally marinate ourselves in are not supporting our spiritual welfare. Not can. The social context, we're all colluding with each other to stay in mediocre mode. So we need to change our identity. We need to be in the right social context. It's called the Sangha. People who are inspirational, not just necessarily spiritual people, not just spiritual Sangha, a group of people who are dedicated, people who are dedicated to discovering their magnificence, either in sports, in music, in spiritual practice, whatever. People who are not willing to settle for less. When we mix with such people, inspiring people, it sparks that inspiration in us. And we start to identify ourselves differently. We start to see ourselves differently. It's because of the literature that I was reading in the US and before, and the people I connected with in the US and before. That's what shifted my identity from seeing myself as a graphic designer and as a spiritual aspirant. Changed my identity, changed my life. Right? So we need to be in a context as often as possible where we're gathering heavy duty, top quality information for seeking out new ways, empowering ways in which to experience our grandeur, to test our power, to grow into our best. That's when spiritual clarity takes root in us. We need a new identity. We need to stop seeing ourselves as little bit squirrels. No, you are a sleeping dragon. It's time you woke up. But if not, okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Please, don't just watch these videos. Implement what you're learning. Otherwise, it's useless. Before you know it, you'll be in your 60s and 70s. Difficult to practice later on. Very difficult. If you haven't acquired the right imprints through living well, your 60s and 70s and 80s, if you live that long, will be miserable by default. Don't just watch these videos. Study what is being taught and implement. Scared money never wins. A fearful life is a wasted life. Face your fears and do it anyway. Place your faith in the right things and you will flourish. Place your faith in fears, doubts, and insecurities. Not even God can save you. Wake up. Over and out. Stay tuned for the next class where we're going to learn how to snack on stress like an energy bar.